5. The Rules of Staying Wall. The hill had rules. Socks learned that first by breaking one. He moved too quickly. It wasn't running, not exactly. It was the small, stupid confidence that comes from having survived a night and mistaking that for mastery. His paws carried him forward before the air had finished explaining itself. The grass was shorter here, pressed down by many bodies and many decisions. It smelled older. Claimed. A sound snapped the space behind him. Not loud, not dramatic, a warning that didn't bother with volume because it didn't need to. Socks froze. That was another rule. Stillness was currency. He felt her before he saw her. A shift in pressure, a gravity that hadn't been there a moment ago. She was not touching him. She did not need to. The space between them tightened, the way air tightens before rain. "Don't move," his body said. "Don't be interesting." She circled once, slow, not inspection, positioning. Her tail was low, controlled, not hostile. This was not a threat. This was a lesson. Socks waited for the lesson to end. It didn't. Instead, she sat of all things. Turned her head away as if he'd already passed, as if he was no longer the focus. That, he learned, was worse. You don't move until you're dismissed. Time stretched. Ants did things near his paws. A breeze came up from the road, bringing the taste of engines and coffee and humans pretending they understood where they were going. Somewhere far below, a dog barked and was immediately ignored by everything that mattered. Eventually, she stood and walked, not away, but through him. Close enough that his whiskers flinched. Close enough that her scent overlaid his own. That was the permission. Socks exhaled for the first time since the sound behind him. He didn't follow. That would have been another mistake. He let her go ahead, counting heartbeats he didn't actually know how to count until the air loosened again. Only then did he move. The hill opened up in fragments, not vistas. Cats didn't get panoramas. They got edges, shadows, angles of escape. Socks learned where the ground dipped sharply enough to hide a body, where the grass thinned into dirt that held heat longer than it should, where the fence leaned just enough to be climbed if you knew which rung lied about its strength. He learned which birds were lies and which were invitations. He learned that mice had schedules. He learned that hunger had a voice, and it wasn't polite. By midday, his paws hurt, not injured, just informed. This was another rule. Pain didn't mean stop. Pain meant listen. He found water in a place that smelled like metal and leaves and something sweetly rotting. It tasted wrong. He drank anyway. The world did not end. That was useful data. He slept in increments, never fully. The hill didn't allow that yet. Sleep was something you earned by being boring enough to be overlooked. When he woke from one of those shallow drops into nothing, she was there again. Not close. Close enough. Watching the road. That was also information. Cars slid past below, fast and loud and stupid. Socks felt the pull of them in his chest, a memory of the box, of movement without choice. His body leaned away instinctively. She noticed. She didn't look at him. She adjusted her stance just a fraction, blocking his line of sight to the road. Not dramatically, casually, as if she'd always been standing that way. The hill breathed. Socks shifted his weight, tested the ground. She let him. A bird landed nearby. A stupid one. Too comfortable. Socks crouched before he realized he was doing it. His back legs coiled, a tension he hadn't practiced but somehow owned. He launched. He missed. The bird left insultingly intact, flapping complaints into the sky. Socks landed badly, skidded, nearly rolled down a slope he hadn't clocked as steep. The hill watched. She did not laugh. She did not comfort. She did not intervene. She waited. Socks stood, shook himself, pretended the failure had been intentional. The hill accepted this lie without comment. Later, time had become elastic. She brought him something. Dropped it, precise, at a distance that said, "This is not a gift." A mouse, dead, warm. Socks stared. Food that didn't come from a bowl didn't announce itself. It didn't smell like safety. It smelled like work already done. He didn't move. She looked at him then, really looked. Her eyes flicked to the mouse, back to him. No judgment, no instruction, just another rule being offered. Socks approached carefully. He sniffed. The mouse told him a complicated story, fear, running, ending. He recoiled slightly, then leaned back in. His mouth opened before he decided it would. He bit. It was wrong. It was right. It was nothing like the neat crunch of dry food or the soft surrender of tinned meals. It fought him even in death, muscle memory resisting a mouth it no longer understood. He ate anyway. She turned away while he did, a courtesy that felt older than manners. That night, the hill changed, not dramatically. No storm, no omen, just a cooling of the air and a shift in who occupied which spaces. Another cat appeared at the far edge, scarred and narrow, eyes like coins left too long in a pocket. They stared across the grass, measuring. Socks stiffened. She stepped forward. That was all it took. The other cat looked away first, not retreat. Acknowledgement. The hill filed the interaction under resolved. Socks realized then that he had not been protecting himself all day. He had been under someone else's shadow. The thought unsettled him. Gratitude was dangerous. Dependency was worse. He shifted, creating space, reminding his body that it still belonged to him. She allowed it. That, too, was a rule. Near dawn, the cold found the places the day had missed. Socks curled into himself in a shallow hollow where the ground remembered warmth. Sleep pressed harder this time. He let it. Dreams came, uninvited. Not pictures, sensations, a room, a window. Hands that smelled like soap and something hopeful. A voice saying a sound that felt like being seen. He woke abruptly, heart racing, the hill dim and unfamiliar in the half-light. For a terrible second, he thought he was alone again. Then he felt it, the presence nearby, steady, unpanicked. She was lying with her back to him, not touching, close enough that the air between them was shared, not guarding the hill, guarding the space. Socks watched her breathe, counted it with his own until the panic receded. The sun crept up, thin and pale. Morning birds tested the air. Somewhere, a human laughed too loudly for the hour. She stood. This time when she walked, Socks followed. Not immediately, not clumsily. He kept the distance he'd learned. Let the hill see that he was not being dragged, that he was choosing. They moved toward a part of the hill he hadn't seen yet, where the grass thinned into something more honest, where the ground sloped toward a cluster of trees that whispered in a language he didn't know but wanted to learn. At the edge of that space, she stopped, turned, looked at him, not assessing, not teaching, recognizing. Something in her posture softened, just enough to be dangerous. Her tail flicked once, then stilled. The air between them tightened again, but differently now. Not warning. Memory. Socks felt at him in the body, a wave without an image attached. Safety without explanation. A pull toward something he couldn't name. He took one step forward. She did not move away. The hill held its breath. And somewhere deep in Socks's chest, beneath hunger and caution and the careful math of survival, something old and unreasonably hopeful shifted, as if a door he didn't remember closing had just unlocked itself from the inside.